James Franco is so handsome.
Yes, he is.
That even that prosthetic, that eye just can't stay on. I ain't never seen a guy so handsome that his handsomeness just says, "Get this ugly shit off me." How dare you try to sully all this beautifulness right here?
How dare you?
I am in a very giving mood right now. You know, the only thing is, I can only give so much. Maybe I'll be giving y'all some of this hair from my mouth a little bit. Damn, the more
Put it behind your ears, man. Why are you talking?
No, that's not very Tommy Wiseau, man.
You can do that during the review, but right now you need to say things.
No, but here's the thing. I am in a giving mood, but I can only give so much. There's a code to enter, and that code is Holiday20. It's going to get you a 20% discount on everything up in dtmerch.com. Go over there and check out everything that we have, dtmerch.com. We're talking about that movie, The Disaster Artist. Y'all know The Disaster Artist, man. People in L.A., they were terrorized by this movie. The Room for about 2 years. This man, they like, who is this goddamn vampire just looming over?
Channeling Forrest Whitaker's eye.
Guest starring Forrest Whitaker's eye. Everybody,
I see you.
Yeah, man, everybody wondered for 2 years, what is this thing called The Room? The billboard was up there telling people, go see it. There was even a number up there inviting people to go see the movie. And at the time, there wasn't even a trailer for people to see on the internet, letting them know what they were getting into. A lot of people just went to see it out of curiosity. And when they got in there, they said it was probably the biggest what the fuck, but the biggest, happiest what the fuck moment, a glorious accident, if ever there was to be.
These are for you.
Thanks, honey. They're beautiful.
I would do anything for my girl.
I don't love him anymore. He didn't get his promotion. And he got drunk last night. And he hit me.
Oh, my God. No wonder.
Johnny doesn't drink.
No wonder so many people went to go see this. There was everything. Love. There was intrigue. There was domestic abuse. There was some sort of mystery and deception going around. And
Violence.
And as my man Tommy Wiseau said, people betray him. They said, as Tommy Wiseau, genius director, by the way, as he intended, it was Tennessee Williams for the 2000s.
Okay.
Yeah, Tommy Wiseau is the director of this movie. Some people call him an accidental genius. Just happened to stumble across this movie.
Yeah.
He had big hopes for this. I mean, he was 100% sure that maybe it won't win, but it will be nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards.
Yeah, a nomination's good, man.
A nomination is good. That's why I stayed out there for 2 years, because he said, it was 2 weeks that he rented a theater. Mm-hmm. He said the two weeks you have to play, that's the minimum that you have to play in a theater to get nominated for an Academy Award. And while he did not get the award, this movie went further than and probably not the direction he wanted, but
I feel like maybe.
But in another direction, it did go somewhere that ended up bringing him the fame that he did want, and also the movie, which cost $6 million to make, because for some reason in his mind he wanted to be the first director to shoot in 35 millimeter and digital
at the same time.
And own the equipment rather than rent it.
Instead of renting and own it, he wanted to be his own Tommy Wiseau Studios. So the budget was inflated to $6 million just because he decided to stack 2 cameras on top of each other. But it did recoup his costs, because over the years, this movie has become one of the most beloved good, bad movies of all time. This thing was made back in 2003, and 14 years later, it still endures. Again, not the way he probably wants, but it's here.
Because it used to be all people could talk about was Troll 2, and now that's been pushed aside.
But now, we're not talking about The Room. Look, Tommy Wiseau, he's getting all the attention that he wants now and all the money. Let's just push aside and talk about some of the people that have made Mr. Wiseau who he is today. Not only the fans out there, the regular people, but with a movie of this genius, of course, it's going to attract some people in high places. The Hollywood folks that he always wants to hobnob with. And one of those people, probably his biggest fan, James Franco. James Franco said, you know what? Nobody loves Tommy like I love Tommy. People don't understand Tommy.
He's misunderstood.
He's misunderstood. People don't understand Tommy Like, I understand Tommy. Why am I doing my hair like this? But
Keeps it out of your face.
Yeah, no, it is, man. It is. And he has now The Disaster Artist, based on the book by, what's his name?
Greg Sestero.
Yeah, who plays Mark in The Room. And you can look at the trailer, which a lot of people, up until the movie came out, they at least start getting real trailers. People thought like, okay, this is just a joke. This is going to be an internet short film, you know, some gag thing you see on College Humor, Funny or Die.
Yeah.
But then after some screenings at festivals, people came back and said, okay, you know what, you going to think I'm fucking lying, but this is actually really good.
I don't care. I'll do it. You and me, we both have this dream.
Yeah, I guess we do.
It's not going to happen for you. Not in a million years.
But after that?
God damn, man. You can see right here that Tommy Wiseau, look, the guy is nuts. He's crazy. You saw that shit right there. I mean, there's no disputing that this man is probably off a little bit.
He's weird.
No, he's off. That motherfucker's crazy. Yeah, there's some. Yeah, there's you know. I mean, we're kind of splitting hairs here.
Yeah, exactly.
Martin,
No, man, he's weird. No, he's off. He's weird. Off.
Martin, why can't he be weird and off?
He can.
At the same time.
I disagree.
Because I think there's crazy, off, weird. Let's just put all that in the same box. That is what this man is. And see, that is why you have to talk about James Franco's performance in here. Now, James Franco directed this because he really does love this movie. And it's important that this is made obvious early in the movie because James Franco not only loves The Room, but he respects Tommy Wiseau, man. I mean, I don't know either one of these guys. I've never been in a room when they've been hanging out. But from this, and I don't want to be, but from this performance, I think that it comes across that he is not out to make fun of this guy. You know, you can actually see where he almost has some hero worship of Tommy Wiseau. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because I feel like it's something that they say here and in the trailers as well. He's like, you just get out there and do it. Like when you act, you just put all of yourself on stage, and that's something that I can't do. And he admires that to the fullest, and that's you could understand that for somebody that plays an actor.
Uh-huh.
I know it's not much, Martin, but like I know Greg is.
Yeah, you know,
That sounds like one of those backhanded compliments. Man, you go out there, you just put it all out there, whether it's good or bad.
And let's keep in mind, as a caveat, he meets him at 19. So Greg is a 19-year-old talking to however old Tommy is, saying you're so awesome.
Yeah, and Tommy, keep in mind, if you were a mother coming out seeing your 19-year-old kid get in the car talking about, come on, Steve, come on, Ma. You know, what would you think? You know, you'd be weirded out by this, but there's no disdain for this, for Tommy Wiseau, him playing that. There's no, you know, he's not looking down on him. When he introduces Tommy in the movie, he's introducing him as a legend and rock star.
Okay, who here can really reveal themselves to the class?
I'll go.
In 1998, he arrived. That shit sound like something out of Halloween or something.
Yeah, it's not like Independence Day.
1998, the night he came home. You know, but this is, you know, that's the introduction that he gives him. You know, the whole thing of you don't see him. There's this air of mystery. They're following him from the back. You don't see his face until he actually makes a grand introduction. There's some hero worship going on here with, granted, that's kind of crazy too in itself. But, you know, you can tell that he doesn't want to go out and try to bring any kind of mockery to Tommy. This is an impersonation of Tommy Wiseau. Now, granted, it's a great impersonation of Tommy Wiseau, and I'm fine with that because Tommy Wiseau is kind of a mystery himself. Anybody who knows the story behind Tommy Wiseau, and if you don't, this is a guy where half the reason this movie is probably as popular as it is because no one can figure out anything about Tommy.
No one knows how old he is. Yeah. No one knows where he came from. No one knows where he got all this money from.
Yeah. He's like the Joker. There's nothing but knives and lint in his pocket. You know, nobody knows anything about this guy. Like, he's rich, but nobody knows where his fortune came from. He owns property. How? We don't even know if that's his real name.
Despite whatever wigs and makeup he might wear, James Franco is just too handsome to pull this off. And I mean, he does a great impression, but it is watching somebody do an impression.
I typically very much dislike James Franco.
I didn't know that.
I do not like him at all.
I didn't know that either.
Oh, sorry. Well, I don't. That said, I liked him a lot in this because I thought I was going to have that issue with him because it's like, Tommy Wiseau looks like this is rude. He looks like a creature at points.
He does. I mean, that's part of the mystique. It's just how he looks and seems to not recognize that.
Yeah, but to James Franco's credit, I was able to see past that with this.
I agree with you because you talk about how he gets everything down, including that lazy eye. But as you see right here, sometimes, as Martin said, James Franco is so handsome.
Yes, he is.
That even that prosthetic, that eye just can't stay on. I ain't never seen a guy so handsome that his handsomeness just says, "Get this ugly shit off me." How dare you try to sully all this beautifulness right here?
How dare you?
And that's often the case with biopics. The actor always looks better than the real person portraying.
Yeah. So,
but Tommy Wiseau looks like a goblin, and that's a part of what makes him really
Jesus Christ!
Damn. I mean, on the one hand, it's like, damn, Mom. But on the other hand, it's like, well, fuck, I can't argue with it. Like I said, people thought they were being invaded by Middle Earth when they saw this shit up here with this giant ass orc up here looking down on people.
And honestly, the one physical attribute of James Franco that threw me off is James Franco apparently is pretty tall.
Yes.
And Tommy Wiseau, when you see him in the room, he's clearly not.
Yeah,
but Greg Sestero is.
Yes.
As opposed to Dave Franco.
It's like they're reversed.
Yeah.
No, it really is. But a lot of people, they go into this, they won't know that. But if you watch The Room, you know that these guys have sort of swapped roles here as far as height.
Yeah.
But again, one of the things that I really enjoy about James Franco's performance and his respect for the character is how he has this dynamic between Greg, played by Dave Franco, and Tommy, which is played by James in the movie. One man's craze is another man's confidence.
Sure.
and that's exactly what we have here, because one of the main messages I think that is trying to come across in the film with James Franco is that, look, the reason why people respect this guy is because, he made a shitty movie. We all recognize that. But he had the confidence to do it and see it through and never let anything hold him back. That's a valuable lesson to be learned now. I keep telling you guys, you want to get a girl, don't get... Because I tell you what, Greg in the movie, Greg in real life even, is handsome as hell.
Yeah.
But if Tommy wasn't just pull back the crazy just a little bit, he can look exactly like he does, and he'd be the one picking up chicks in the room, just because he's got that personality. To the point where the dynamic between these guys that really drives it home is that no matter how handsome Greg is, Greg still seeks somebody who has more confidence than him.
He's insecure.
He's very insecure. His handsomeness can only carry him so far if he doesn't have the security, the self-esteem. And it's funny watching this guy who, by all means, should be kind of, I guess, insecure, just doesn't care about anyone else around him. And Greg, who needs this, looks up to that, and that is what he's drawn to.
What if they laugh at me? But you, man, you're like...
Now, we're at the top of a mountain. The rain pouring, wind going. Fine ride, that's it. And one of these...
I like the way that guy there is like, call the police. Some Franco boys are drunk again.
Not again.
I swear, these guys every fucking Saturday, man. It's something really beautiful to see a guy just overcome all his shortcomings and do this at the same time.
Or ignore them.
But at the same time, something like this is like, man, I'm really angry at this guy too for just getting on other people's nerves, having no respect for other people's space. It's that's one of the things in the movie that I noticed that they probably did, that I knew I would probably go into the movie going in and probably criticizing that, nitpicking it, not enjoying that part, because I'm gonna tell you, Martin, you might be surprised to hear this from me, but I'm just like you, my man. I am not in love with The Room, like this whole cult that it has developed. I'm not hating.
You
on
betray me.
Oh no! Girls are like, I'm hiding with this world.
I'm fed up with this world. Everybody betray me.
Korey betray me. But I'm sorry. I'm not in love with The Room. And look, I don't have anything against it, because I've seen The Room several times. We talk about our first time we watched it. It was, like you said, it was April 1st. I believe it was 2008. Was it?
I want to say like 7 or 8.
2007 or 8. It was, and it was like for me, it was like around 12:30 in the morning.
Yup.
This thing was in a loop. They played this for like 24 hours straight, like a Christmas Story on TBS.
Yeah.
And I watched this 3 times in a row, trying to figure out. It had me, man.
It's crazy. Like I tuned it in the middle of a scene just being blurred out. So like it was one of the sex scenes. So the screen was just blurry, and I just hear like sex sounds and terrible music. It's like I remember I wrote it on Facebook. I said, "What the hell is this on Adult Swim right now?"
I kept waiting for Tim and Eric to step up. I was like, I know these motherfuckers did this. Come on now. And it was almost like, because Tommy's, like, you see Tommy's face right here. It was almost like it had me in a trance. I watched this shit 3 times to figure out, like, okay, what the fuck is going on? I want to see what. I was waiting 3 hours for a punchline. I've seen it twice on the big screen, you know, and I've enjoyed it every time. Don't get me wrong, but I tried watching this by myself once.
This ain't one of them movies you watch by yourself,
Goddamn
man.
right.
Yeah, why would you do that?
I even was throwing spoons at myself and shit. It was it's not a movie I can watch alone, and I know some people who can, but I find it just after a few times. All right, I've seen everything. I get the joke, and I'm bored by it. It's not that I don't like the movie. Now the other thing is that it's just been something that's just been oversaturating pop culture. You know what I'm saying? Man, I can't tell you how many times somebody walked into the room and thought they were being funny when they said,
Oh, hi, Mark.
and I'm just like,
Okay, yeah.
okay, yeah, hi.
You too.
Yeah. You know, one person thinks that they're the funniest guy in the world because they're the first ones to say,
You are tearing me apart, Lisa.
yeah, you tear me apart too, motherfucker. Shut the fuck up. I don't want to hear R. I don't even go as far. I'm not even polite no more. I don't even laugh. I don't even give him that little pitiful ass Tommy Wiseau laugh. I don't even give him that shit. Because I've heard it. It's I live the room every fucking day with these guys. So and Sammy too. Sammy's the main one walking into my high car. I was like, sit down. But nothing against it. But I've seen it. So
I thought you meant we were like Tommy and Greg. I was like, how do we do that?
No, I live the room all the time now, so it's okay. But the reason why I probably don't have as much funness for the room anymore. Well, I do, but there's something out there that I love better, and you know what that is, Martin. The book.
Oh, actually,
Disaster
yeah,
Artist.
I was going to bring that up because honestly, like as much as I was excited when I would see the trailers for this, I thought, man, I feel like this movie's going to get ruined for me by Chris Cox, who saw it first and came back saying James Franco he's going to get an Oscar for this. So I was like, that's pretty lofty. But what really kind of ruined it was the book. The book's amazing. When you recommended the book to me, you ruined this movie for me because you recommended the book, and especially the audio book because Greg Sestero reads it himself and does a perfect impression of Tommy, like the impression.
See, I haven't even heard that.
No,
I
that's
just
the
read
thing.
the book.
He's reading it and he's reading all, and there's so much like as far as Tommy being humanized. When you read this book, you really do see that, and it's so you get such a picture of him as like how pitiful he is, and yet on the set, what a complete asshole.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
a dick, and like just you go like, man, what is wrong with you? But then it'll go back and forth, and there's times when you feel genuine dread. And it's almost like you want to go like, man, just keep your secrets.
Yeah.
You got too much going on.
Yeah, exactly. Shit, we might find out you killed somebody. I don't. And it's almost like, you don't want to know too much.
And in all honesty, the Disaster Artist, I was amused by it for sure, all the way through. But there's so many parts of the book that were my favorite things that got left out.
That's exactly the way I feel. I'm not trying to be a book snob here. I'm not trying to be one of those Game of Thrones.
You sound like it.
No, hell no.
I know how that sounds.
Not like
I know
the
how that
book.
sounds. I'm saying
I like the book better.
yeah. Like even when it was done, I was like, man, I hate to say this because I know how it's going to be received, but the truth is the truth. It is what it is.
I want to punch every Game of Thrones person who read the
Yeah.
book and be like, oh, well, it's not like the book. And I'm like, get the fuck away from me. But I am that person now because I read the book, and it's not a matter of like trying to hold anything over somebody. It's not any kind of superiority. It's just like that book has so many levels to it that the movie is just not capturing. I mean,
It's surface.
With Tommy, while he is the guy's a huge asshole in the book, but there's also these moments where they give you backstory where he's so sympathetic. And you don't know if they're telling the truth about him or not, but they has these little stories within a story about him. The whole thing of Greg struggling in Hollywood, man, to be an actor, the more the more humanized these characters are, the more of a way just a deeper experience that you have with this story.
I'm surprised to hear that from y'all because watching this movie, I haven't read the book, but watching this movie, I got a lot of this. I felt a lot of sympathy for Tommy. He has all these things like money and the ability to have all these properties and things like that, but he doesn't have anybody around him that really cares for him. So like the moment you see like things maybe turn just a little south in like a regular conversation, like you say something bad and then we go separate ways for like an hour, then come back later. Like when that happens to Tommy, like it's like his world crashes around him and he goes back on set and acts like a monster, or he acts like a monster towards Greg. In this movie, I see him as a sympathetic character.
In the movie, you have Tommy who goes in, and there are sets. I mean, well, not even sets. There are locations that exist, and there are people, mainly Seth Rogen, who's his cinematographer in the movie. He asks, "Well, why didn't you just film on the real set?"
Of the alleyway looks exactly like the real alleyway.
That's right.
Well, why don't we just shoot in the real alleyway?
Because it's a real Hollywood movie.
I love the reaction.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay.
It's one of those things where he recreates all these fake sets on things that he didn't really need. You watch the movie, and with the movie, what they've done is they've recreated fake sets of fake sets.
Yeah.
So just like watching a meta experience, and a lot of people can get a kick out of that. Also, the cast is great. As I was saying, some of the people that you see here, it is like watching for me. It's like watching a long comedy sketch, like watching like watching a skit. It doesn't feel like that's one of the things that's holding against me. Even without reading the book, I would feel like, well, it feels like James Franco and crew, the usual suspects are coming, like Seth Rogen and
The Point Grave people.
Yeah, exactly. They come in and they're playing these roles that we've seen all these guys in movies before.
Right.
So it's like, okay, this is almost like the same improv group, a comedy troupe, doing their version of The Room.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like they're doing
the clubhouse is back together.
Yeah, exactly. Now that doesn't mean that they're bad because I love Seth Rogen as what's his name? What's the character name? Sandy Second? I can't remember his last name.
I just remember him saying Sandy a bunch.
Yeah, I'll just say Sandy. Shit, who plays his cinematographer? Seth Rogen's great.
Yeah, and he plays probably the most competent person on set.
Yeah.
Which was nice to see Seth Rogen play. He's not doing that typical stoner Seth Rogen thing. He's there to do a job, and he's the one to call him out on his bullshit the most.
He's the straight guy. He's the one that, and it's funny because Sandy has gone on record to this day. He's like, look, man, I ain't trying to encroach on this man's masterpiece right here, but he put director on there. No, I'm the director on this.
Action!
You have to say out loud. I can't hear it in here. Say action so I can hear it.
Okay.
So that is his tone through the whole film. Just the straight guy, and I love it. He doesn't have a big role in the movie, but I love him in the film.
He's great. It's funny you talked about the actors being great, and they are, but they're so good that they're even when they're trying to be bad actors, they're a little too polished. I never felt them as just amateurs who had this maybe their second job, like their second time working. They always felt like they'd been doing other things and then got in for this.
Well, that's one of the things we're trying to replicate in accidental disasters. That you're too good.
Yeah, you can't catch lightning in the bottle.
No,
even when it's bad.
You can't catch a fucking retarded lightning rod in a bottle. So
I really, really liked Dave Franco in this.
Yeah, I did too.
And he's not somebody I usually walk away going like, man, that guy was great, but he was.
The whole time I'm thinking about this movie, it reminds me of another movie that I love dearly that is similar in the subject matter, which is Ed Wood. Ed Wood is about a terrible director who's made all these classic films and now have a cult following. That's the movie directed by Tim Burton with Johnny Depp as the lead character. And with Ed Wood, you're talking about way out there, insane, wacky kind of characters. And yet in that movie, and I went back and watched some small clips, with those characters that are so insane, more insane than they are in this movie here, they're still able to capture some level of humanity and sympathy with them. This is a movie where Ed Wood made friends with Bela Lugosi, and Bela Lugosi, who I forgot how great
Martin Landau. Yeah.
Fuck you!
No, he deserved that Oscar. I know everybody was mad that Samuel Jackson didn't get it, but Martin Landau,
Yeah,
he
Martin
worked
Landau
for
told
it.
him, "Fuck you."
Fuck you.
Yeah, but it's
Karloff can eat my shit.
yeah, man. They're just small scenes where they pull back and they don't feel like they're being people who are impersonating roles. They feel like real people.
Did you see that kid grab vampires' boobies?
I envy him. I want to thank you. These last few days have been a good time.
You don't really get moments that slow down like that. It's either very dramatic or it's very bombastic and outlandish. And
It's moving at a fast pace.
And it's moving at a fast pace. Again, nothing that's bad. I will say this, and I'll play you one more clip before we move on to prove a point here, is that if you have not seen The Room, you don't know anything about Tommy Wiseau, that's a great way to go see it too. Because in the movie, there is this thing where their friendship, before they even make the movie, half the movie is about their growing friendship, which is already odd and continues to go in more odd places. Like, you will be fascinated to see why this guy is still hanging around Tommy Wiseau. And it gets so close that out of nowhere, sometimes their relationship takes on a homoerotic turn, at least on Tommy's side, because the moment that Greg gets a girlfriend played by Alison Brie, Amber, Tommy Wiseau, like when you don't think he could lose his crazy fucking mind anymore, he does.
Oh, girlfriend.
I don't know. You heard of Konstantin Stanislavski?
Pretty sure Stanislavski's dead.
No, he's not dead. I just speak to him.
Shut the fuck up next time.
He put his eye on her shoulder like, don't, sweetheart.
Yeah, don't engage with crazy.
He tried to stop us.
It's like, please, no.
She's like, who's this crazy motherfucker you living with right now? You're like, I'm not going to be seeing you again, right?
We are not coming over here.
I think that if you were somebody that hasn't seen The Room, just knowing that even half of this is true, that's going to be fascinating to you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's all true. There's just so much more to it.
Oh yeah. I think there are things in here that are exaggerated. Even for a movie that's already seems exaggerated like this. Again, if you know some of the stories about the history of The Room, some of these things did not happen in the movie. Others are probably a lot more grandiose than they really were in real life. But just thinking like, shit, even if an ounce of this is true, this is weird, and I'm really fast, I'm really feeling uncomfortable watching this, but I can't stop, and I need to see where this goes.
It's like the real movie. I really appreciate it, especially from somebody that enjoys The Room as much as I do. I like seeing all the behind the scenes stuff. I again enjoyed James Franco's performance. I want to go as far as saying he's going to get a best actor or even a nomination.
Yeah.
But I think he did a really good job. The only thing that would be not a big detriment, but something that knocks a few points off is that James Franco directed this, and there's parts in here where you could tell it feels like an amateur director.
He's directed, I believe, 18 films.
Yeah, he's more.
Really?
Yeah.
He's directed a lot.
He's directed a lot of movies
that no one's seen.
Yeah, they're all like straight to Netflix and Amazon.
Really?
So yeah, it's one of those things where you can tell like this was not directed by a professional director. But overall, I don't think it detracts much from the film. It's funny at parts, it's heartbreaking at parts, and you really feel for a person that you would think you feel nothing for as much as an asshole and just as odd as he acts. So yeah, man, this is a really enjoyable movie for me. It was a full price.
All right, Gertz, what about you?
Well, I pretty much agree with everything you said, Goodwin. I did have some doubts going into it for sure, especially one thing that you brought up that I actually really liked about it is I liked how fast-paced it was. Because when I see Seth Rogen and James Franco in a comedy together, I'm like, shit, this is going to be over 2 hours long. It's going to be like a fucking Judd Apatow thing. And it gets in quick, and it moves at a really good pace. I think sometimes the cameos get a little out of control. It reeks a little bit of nepotism, especially the way it... At the very beginning, I went, oh no, because it opens, this isn't a spoiler, the first thing you see is like Kristen Bell and Adam Scott and Danny McBride all talking about The Room, the movie The Room. I'm like, why are you doing this? And then
Because they know them? That's why.
Yeah, and then it cuts to Kevin Smith, and I was like, wait a minute. You made movies worse than The Room. Who the fuck are you to have an opinion on Tommy Wiseau? I saw Yoga Hosers. I saw Tusk.
Well, that's why he's
my ass.
That's why
You're not
Tommy
fit to smell his shit.
Yeah.
That's why Tommy's a hero of Kevin Smith.
Yeah. Kevin Smith, fuck you.
You make shitty movies. I make shitty movies too. Hey, we should hang out.
But really, and after that, the movie starts and we get that great introduction to Tommy's character. So that criticism isn't really a major one for me. So overall, this is one of my favorite movies this year. This is a full price for me. I love this.
The thing I'm skeptical about is how much a person can enjoy it if they haven't seen The Room. Because The Room at this point has become like one really big in-joke. And this is the meta in-joke on top of that in-joke. So, if you may be somebody who doesn't really enjoy bad movies and you watch this and go like, that's odd. This whole thing, maybe I'd enjoy it, maybe not. Let's just say, I don't know. And also, I know that my opinion is skewed on this from listening to the audiobook, which I so thoroughly enjoyed and just wish it could have given me more that I got from that. But just how much I enjoyed it for what it is, I give it a matinee.
What this is somebody who's made the ultimate cinematic love letter in the form of a fan service. There's a fan service film, and I can tell where James Franco is in love with this movie. This is not something that he laughs at. This is not something that he sits around, he's looking at it like everybody else. He is in love with this movie. Shit, he's in love with Tommy for all I know. That's your homoerotic relation right there, and I don't blame him. It is a fascinating subject. However, I would say this: if you haven't seen The Room, or if you're a huge fan of it, I believe this will be a full price for you. I think but then there's going to be a handful of people out there. And I'm claiming to be in the minority. There will be a handful of people out there like myself who you're not crazy about The Room. You admire it, you respect it. You read the book and want something more. And when you see this, it's like, oh, it's good. I'll even go as far as say it's very good, but it's just not great. Like a lot of people have come to say. But then again, I know a lot of people going to say this and watch this shit turn around and win an Academy Award for Best Picture.
We were right. Hollywood does reward movies that are about making movies.
Yeah, I really want to give this more because of the enjoyment that a lot of people I suspect will have. But I'm going to give this a very high matinee. I did enjoy it, and I hope people will too. And I'm sure you'll enjoy it more than me.
You betray me.
I know, man. That's what's up.
You know what? It's funny because you talk about James Franco's love for The Room, which is obvious. And I wonder if he invites people over to watch The Room, and they're all like, "Yeah," and they come over with their 6-packs, but the whole time they want to drink and laugh at it. He's going, "Shh,
yeah.
Watch this part right here."
Pausing it. Look at this. Look at the spoons in the picture frame.
Just suck all the fun out of watching.
Or even better yet, James Franco invites people over to watch The Room, and they sit down, they're waiting on a video to pop up, and James Franco pops out the bedroom looking like Tommy Wiseau. Hi, everybody. I'm Tommy.
Guys, he got us again.
A one-man show with reenacting the whole movie.
Welcome to Wiseau Dinner Theater. Fuck.